Greetings, it's Vanessa-Mary. Welcome to another episode of Leading with Heart. This is a podcast that I've been doing more regularly in the lead up to this year's annual event. I will tell you more about that shortly. But if you don't know me, I'm the founder of the Seeds community, where I speak to self-employed mums and dads and leaders who work in a family-led business. And when I invite them onto this conversation, or those who are supporting families that work together or running a business, we have honest conversations. So we talk about things that are happening with our vision in the business, in the family. And we know that our journey is not perfect. So we don't try to show up here all polished and perfect. We keep it real. Okay. And in each episode, we talk about heart-led things. So we are balancing the business with our well-being, with ambition, with an alignment, with success, with purpose. And we're growing a really nice community together. Because for me, it's not just what you're building, it's about who's coming with you on that journey as you build it along the way. And I want to introduce you to a wonderful young woman who's definitely part of my journey. We have met each other. We've taken some lovely selfies together actually last year, and I'm so excited to have another opportunity to meet her again. Her name is Nicole Papantoniou. Here she is, young legal consultant. I'll say young because you're much younger than me.
Take it.
Beautiful soul. You've got a heart of gold. I love you to bits. So, Nicole, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank you for having me, for the very warm introduction. I likewise, to everything you said, likewise as well. Part of my journey, and a very important part of my journey as a person.
Oh,
I am
thank
good.
you.
How are you?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a cold, I must say. So if I don't sound, as sharp as I normally do, it's because I'm getting over a cold. We've got someone saying hi, Lala B. Hi. So yeah, we do have people watching the live. I love to see the comments coming through. So if you are watching live, please just say greetings. If you're in business, you can put your business name on there. Tell us what you do. We have Nicole here as a legal consultant as well. So if there's something, particularly if you're starting up or you're growing your business and you want to ask Nicole a question, please feel free to do so. But Nicole, before we get into it, do you want to introduce yourself and tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do, please?
Sure. So as after the wonderful, warm introduction that Vanessa-Mary gave, I'm a legal consultant. I have my own company, that's PN and Associates Limited. I do a lot of things with my time. So I'm a legal consultant for quite a few companies, working primarily in company law, civil law, but I also do a lot of work with immigration, criminal law as well. And I think my motto has always been the same, helping those who need it the most, and especially underrepresented groups. So my focus is primarily on that, but I also do love working with business owners, companies that are just starting their business journey. I think that's a very essential being part of that team and basically promoting it, because I do get a lot of clients coming in late, seeking a lawyer when issues have arisen, whereas I strive at least to promote that. Just speak to someone beforehand to make sure you have everything in place. So my work is quite vast, different fields you can say, but my focus is mostly company law and business law. And I've been doing that now for specifically company for the past 5-6 years. But overall, my legal experience is approximately 10 years now.
Sorry, Nicole, I am
So,
listening to you, but I always like to double check that things are coming through properly. So I know we have people watching us, but Lalaby was watching us from YouTube. I'm checking on LinkedIn to see if I can see the posters live. I can't see it. So if anybody is tuning in from LinkedIn, please can you just give me a shout to let me know that you can see me over there. So we're live streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and also Facebook. But as those of you who follow me on LinkedIn, you know that that's where I hang out. So please let me know if you
exactly.
So, Nicole, I loved what you said in the introduction. Basically, you're saying don't leave it until the last minute. Think about how to protect
Correct.
yourself legally right from the beginning. It's so interesting that you said
Correct.
that. I know I gave you a little teaser voice note last
You
week. Wagwan,
did. You did. Wagwan indeed.
wagwan. So yeah, Nicole knows. Nicole knows that I'm working on something rather spectacular. I've actually written about it on LinkedIn. So if you are following me on LinkedIn, I've just put an article out this morning, which is basically saying how have I created momentum within my business in just 21 days. So things are happening fast, but what's at the front of my mind is legal protection. So, as much as it's all, oh, we're excited, we're working on something really exciting here, I'm like, wait a minute, I have to protect my intellectual property. I have to think about the legal structure of this because it will be a new company that will be set up. I have to think about the new company, how that's set up. There's so much to think about with that. So the one that I will be in consultation with is definitely Nicole. So, Nicole, we've known each other through networking. We've just spoken about that before we came onto the live.
Yeah.
We were basically talking about different networking groups. I believe that Zenta's come back with Mark, and they don't know that I'm doing a live stream. So hopefully they're not going to put the first thing. So anybody who doesn't know me, I work from home. And my little boy is home educated, and he will. Well, let's not will him into the room. Anyway,
It might be a nice surprise.
It might be a nice surprise. He came in at the end of the chat last week with Tim, but we've met each other through networking. So we're going to have our conversation around the SEEDS framework, as I normally like to have these conversations. So that S does talk about strategy, support network, and sales. But let's take that strategy back in that kind of legal framework. So even for myself, I'm just about to embark on something new, something exciting. What would you be saying to me, in that kind of consultation when we have that chat? What are one of the first few things that you'd like to tell me as I'm thinking about the strategy and moving forward, please?
So many things come to my mind, honestly. I think the most important thing for me is that you said it yourself, that you have in mind the legal protection, which a lot of people don't, especially when starting a company. They think it's something they can't postpone to later. So for me, for you to even have that thought and to be having that initial discussion, which I think is so important, is honestly excellent. And this is the thing, because speaking to a lawyer, to someone who specialize in this field before you set up your company, or even if you're thinking of setting up your company, is so essential, because they can guide you in the correct ways. For example, what what structure, what format will your company be in? Are you going to be the only shareholder? Are there going to be any other directors? There are so many things that need to be underpinned and discussed. So one, the client has a clear image in their head of what they want to achieve, because sometimes we might just have a general idea in our head without it having a specific structure. So speaking to someone that knows, for example, the consequence of choosing X option, for example, setting up a limited company, as opposed to being, for example, a sole trader, is important for the client to understand the direction in which the business can go down in, the benefits and the disadvantages of that. So especially if you're unsure which way you want to go down, but you know what you do, you come to me, you tell me, I want to have this business in this field, I want to generate this much revenue per year, I want to be the sole owner. You kind of deconstruct the conversation, and present the client with options as to what they can do, what they should be wary about, or at least have in their mind when they are thinking about this company, and so on. It allows for a broader discussion. It allows for a conversation, to expand and to allow the client to think about XYZ things that maybe they haven't thought about before, and so on. So the initial consultation or initial thoughts would be around that. Then the rest comes to it. Once the client knows the kind of structure they want in place, then everything else follows. For example, legal protection, as you correctly stated yourself.
Interesting, because you've used the word structure. So we're talking about strategy, but thinking about the legal structure is part of the strategy if you
It
want to
is.
be successful.
I think
Very
they go hand
interesting.
in hand.
Yeah, brilliant. So, I mean, when we're thinking now about that support network, and again, I'm talking to those who are already running their business. When you gave the talk to us last year, at the family business success summit, I can't even remember what I call it now. Seeds of Unlimited Success, which we will talk about shortly.
Yes.
Family business growth, that's it. Family business growth summit, because that's important. Because if you're wanting to grow, then I think you've got to get the fundamentals right first, haven't you?
You
Get the
do.
foundation
You
right.
do.
So you
You
gave
do.
us a wonderful presentation in that setting on, for a live audience. And I must say, Nicole, you probably come across it yourself, that there are people that have been in business for a while that haven't got sort of the basics right. I mean, what would be the top three basics that you're thinking about into it? Because this is all about your support network. Get the basics right. What would that be?
Agreements. For example, you have companies that are selling services without having a service agreement in place.
Right.
I've seen a lot. And I'm not talking about newly formed companies. I'm talking about companies that have been in business for a lot of years. They might have some of them, best case scenario, they'll have just a simple service agreement, but again, they might sell so many different services that needs to be tailored to X, Y, Z. Are you a consumer that's using the services? Are you a business? Different things apply if that's the case. The service agreement will be the number one that I have seen there has been a lack of generally in the industry. And that goes hand in hand with, obviously it should be part of your service agreement, but also what do you do with your invoicing, payment terms, things like that is not clearly laid out in your terms and conditions. Again, a big issue, terms and conditions. I've had clients that do have terms and conditions, but they don't have anything with regards to payment terms. So then when an issue arises, this client, hasn't paid me my invoice, what do I do? When the first question you ask them is, okay, give me your terms of business or your service agreement so I can see what is written in it. Nothing exists. So it's a big issue. Data protection.
So this is number two.
Number two, I will put terms and conditions. Number three, data protection
Oh,
agreements
right.
or
Sorry, right.
privacy
I
/
see.
privacy policies.
Oh, massive. Because again, I mean, look at all the things that you've just pointed out. So, for those of you that are just coming into this conversation, I've just asked Nicole what would be the top three, because we're talking about the support network. And for me, your support network is also about what you're doing to support yourself in running your business. So,
Of course.
Nicole's saying top three: service agreements, terms and conditions, and privacy policy, GDPR, that type of thing.
Yeah.
All three of them, if we don't have the basics right, can cost us money either way, can't they?
Of course. Of course they can.
Right. Wow. I even think, Nicole, if we was to, because if for anybody who doesn't know, my background was in data analysis and I used to do a lot of research. I feel that if I was to do like even a quick survey on these questions, I don't think the results would be great, to be
Yeah,
honest. That's not
I
good.
will agree
So
to that, unfortunately.
as small business owners, particularly if you're a mom or dad in business, if you're working in a family-led business, come on, we've got to get the basics right, because the next S, Nicole, is about sales. So I was basically saying, either way, if you don't get the basics right, they could affect your sales. If you're talking about the
Exactly.
service agreements, terms and conditions, that's going to affect money coming in. So you could put all that
Yeah,
energy out at the front to get the sale. We all know how long that sales
exactly.
process can take. If you're selling smaller items, then of course,
Exactly.
we're gonna pull some angel cards later. So, the lady that I brought these from at an exhibition stall, she didn't need service agreements or terms and conditions because it was a quick transaction. She had the keypad on her phone and I just paid the money. But if it's a bigger sales, so what type of money would you really be thinking about? Like, what's the value of the invoice? Should
For
we be
me, it
thinking
really doesn't matter. It
about?
doesn't
Okay.
matter whether it's £5 or 5,000 or 5 million in that case.
Okay.
I think it doesn't matter. It's not about the value of the sale, because anything can go wrong even with a small purchase sale. I think regardless of the value, things need to be in place. Legal instruments need to be in place. Of course, the higher the value of the sale, the higher the, let's say, consequences that can affect or the outcome that can affect the business and the individual. But I just think, generally speaking, it doesn't matter the value
Okay.
of the
So we're
sale.
talking about managing risks ultimately, because
Exactly.
going back to the final S, the sales process can take a while. So you've got to
Yeah,
manage the risk in terms of getting that money.
exactly.
GDPR, it is a big one. It really is. And you and I
It
know a
is.
gentleman that specialized in GDPR, but he's not working in that field anymore. So, something that we
Hmm.
all need to pay attention to. But I want to move it now, our conversation, to the E, and we're going to talk about enterprise growth, if that's okay.
Hmm.
So, in terms of enterprise growth, thinking about the points that you've already spoken about, when we are in business, say for example, we did do the fundamentals. Okay,
Yeah.
so speaking to those business owners who like
Hmm.
to tick all those boxes, they've spoken with a legal consultant such as yourself, they've got those fundamentals right. How would legal expertise support a business that is now thinking, okay, I'm going to grow, I want to get to that next level, whatever that would mean for them? How does the legal protection or legal advice help us?
Again, because you hit, let's say, your target within, the first year. I want to have XYZ partnership. I want my revenue growth to be XYZ. I've hit that target. Those agreements or those business plans or those anything internal that I have in place to help me meet my growth, but also, for example, my partnership agreements or my agreements with investors, they will all change. If you haven't tailored it from the beginning, for it to be a bit, let's say, more widespread, it will change, and things as the company progresses will change. Nothing will remain the same. If you're a company that, for example, employs people and you've hit that target, you might want to employ more people. So things will need to change. The structure will need to be changed. So again, it's making sure you have everything in place that will allow for that growth to happen with as minimum as possible risk, and you have to be able to minimize that. So again, as the business grows, you will have new issues in inverted commas to deal with, new investors. Maybe you want a new partner. Maybe the number of you'll have new shareholders. So many things can change as a business grows, that again, you will need to either tailor the legal instruments you have in place or create new ones depending on the progression of the business. You might want to expand to a different area, for example. I might be offering legal services, but I might want to offer mediation services. Of course, I'll need to tailor my agreements as my business grows. It's the same in all areas of whatever business you are in. As the business grows, so will the initial structure to an extent change. So again, it's making sure the policies, the agreements, everything you have in place reflects your growth.
Sorry, I was off because
I can see you saying something, but it's unmuted.
No, Zenta did pop in, so I had to,
of course.
I had to do my mummy thing. But you know what, Nicole, this is interesting because you know what I'm thinking about? When you're working with an accountant, you're getting, even if you're a sole trader, you are getting your tax return done for a specific moment of the year.
Yeah.
Depending on when you've filed, you need to file your company accounts, you'll get things ready. But I feel that what you're saying is this relationship with your legal consultant, your legal team should be ongoing, but we're not necessarily forced. I know it sounds awful, but
no, but it's true.
Yeah, because we have to account for the money, the turnover,
exactly,
the profit, the loss, whether you're a sole trader, whether you're running a company, that goes to the government. But with the legal side, it's almost as though there's no actual, excuse the pun, but there's no like legal framework for us to be operating. It just seems a bit bizarre.
It is, and it's so true the way you have.
Yeah, because don't get me wrong, certain professions, then yes, they will have to. Like, for example, we need insurance. Yeah,
exactly.
So I have insurance, and part of my work, as you know, is working with families. So I have another set of insurance there. So there are legal things that you have to put in place. Of course, you need your public liability insurance, but some people don't have their insurance because I asked them.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So this is very, very interesting what you're saying, because for me, I'm thinking, well, because you started your conversation, you said some people leave it to the last minute when actually everything's gone wrong, and then they're seeking legal advice to unpick something. Whereas I'm like, wow, it should be kind of built into maybe, what would you recommend? Quarterly, half a year, once a year? What would you recommend?
Quarterly, for sure. Even I'll say, yeah. Okay, four times a year in my head sounds good. Again, it should be just like you have an accountant, let's say, it should be also mandatory, to have that legal checkup. Again, it's just a checkup, making sure everything is working correctly. Are you having any issues? Or is anything that needs improving? It is important. It is, and it should be mandatory. Like you have an accountant. If you have an accountant, you should also have your legal consultant on board. Again, you might need him, her once a year, twice per year, but have that connection with them, have that relationship with them, that you can, have a check-in. Is everything running smoothly? Do I have any liabilities? Do I have anything? Because running a company is not only about, getting, as you said, like my insurance set up, depending on which field I'm in, making sure, my accounts are up to date, all that kind of stuff. It's also making sure legally you are in check, plainly. the law changes, business needs, business requirements change. So it's just making sure that, you can have that conversation with your lawyer, back to them. Everything okay with my current structure? Yes, yes. Any issues? Yes, let's amend this, let's fix this. Don't leave it until last minute. And this is the problem that I see, leaving until
Very,
last minute.
very interesting, because it's going to affect. And oh, sorry, the door. One moment, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Talk about working around interruptions. So I think, well, you and I remember for the giveaway, because you're working on your own legal health check anyway. So I think
Yeah.
we've got something there, Nicole. Let's look at that a bit more deeply. Enterprise growth will be affected, because what I was going to say before I was rudely interrupted is these things sit on our emotional well-being, because they can stay on your mind. So it's very, very interesting that everything's interlinked. We can unpick it. As people know, if you've
Exactly.
been following me, I'm a well-being healer. So I'm actually looking at things holistically from the position of you are the first pillar in your business, which means that your well-being is the first pillar in your business. Like my well-being's just been disturbed just then with that interruption. But anyhow, we continue. So let's talk about, interesting, because we're going to continue, and the next E is for energy alignment. So it is very interesting how I was just disturbed. So
Yeah.
I feel, do you know what? At this part of the program, I feel that the angels want to come in. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's for you. Are you okay with that, Nicole? I know I always ask.
Yes,
Are we all right
of
to get a
course.
message? Just
We
because
are
I
certainly.
feel like I was a little bit thrown. Do you have a question? You don't have to tell me the question, but if this one wants to come out, rainbow.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
What is
You are
that?
you are a jewel, even though you may not see it. Even in the darkest times, you shine eternally bright. You are surrounded by an aura of love, and a pot of gold awaits beyond the horizon, and will soon clear. Sorry, all will clear soon. Trust and continue to follow your dreams. You are eternally blessed. I think that one might have been for me,
I
because I'm
like
like was
that.
so stressed with that interruption. The angelic realm was like,
That was a
"Don't worry,
very nice message. So there you
don't
go.
worry."
That was very
Well,
nice.
for me, I can't wait until I've actually got a nice studio. But you know what? I always think never forget where you're coming from. And
Exactly. I think it's so important.
these moments are part of the journey. So if anybody
They
is following
are.
me on, if anyone's following me on LinkedIn, please do have a look at the article that I've just posted today, because it's really talking about, how things can work quickly when you are emotionally aligned. So,
Yeah.
gosh, these were a little bit difficult. Whoa, I'll take it. And I'll take that one as well. Oh, I will take that one, but I'll take this one that's fallen.
Let's see.
Oh, no, that one's not even relevant, because it's about the author. That shouldn't be in there. But the one that came was opportunity. Opportunity. So these are a new deck that I'm working with. I got them on my celebration day, actually. It's Guardian Angel cards, loving messages from the angels. So this is opportunity. Wondrous possibilities and opportunities await you. So I don't know what your question was, but hopefully this is relevant to you. Stop dwelling on past mistakes. Surrender the past lovingly. There's nothing to regret. All is always in perfect and divine order. Everything that you've ever experienced has helped you in some way. The past is behind you. The path ahead is clear. Move forward joyfully and fulfill your heart's desire. Does that resonate with you at all? With whatever
That
we were
does
saying?
resonate. That's exactly
Oh,
what I was going to say. So I think that
oh,
was for me.
that's
I'll
lovely.
take that.
That's lovely. These are quite
Very nice.
difficult to shuffle because they're in the
I was
shape of
going
a
to say the
heart.
heart shape.
Yeah,
So it
it's
would be
quite
difficult
difficult
to
to
shuffle.
shuffle. So that's lovely because, we're now talking about energy alignment. And I actually feel that tapping into your higher wisdom, your higher self, actually does help us along our entrepreneurial journey. So yourself, Nicole, I know that you work for other companies, but you've actually set up your own company as well now. So, you've got those things to think about as well, everything that we need to think about as entrepreneurs. You're stepping into that world. How's everything going on that part of your journey, my dear?
Exactly.
At least some of the things you can implement quicker than others because you
It's
have that
going
specialist.
well. I think.
I don't know if we've got a bit of a delay.
Oh, can you hear me?
I don't know. Yes, I can. Carry on from it's going well. I was asking you how everything's
I
going
think
on
it is
your
a delay because I just heard you very robotic.
Oh,
Okay.
hopefully it's not my side. It looks like I've got
It's
signal.
good. It's good. I mean, the setup is complete. The website is live. Well, it looks like I have signal as well. It should be working fine, but
My internet.
can you hear me properly?
I can hear you. Is it my
Is it
internet?
my? I can hear you properly.
You can. I think we're both in sync
I have
now.
no idea. It might be my. I don't
Yeah.
know. It
No.
seems
We're
to be
both in
working.
sync now. Yeah.
Yes, I think so as
Yeah.
well. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. Anybody watching the live, please help us
It's
out.
going
Tell us
well.
what
It's
it's
going
like for
well.
you. Everything's going well, you're saying? Yeah. We're in sync now.
It is.
I can
So
hear.
far we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
back to normal, thank God. Because I just heard you go very fast and then robotic. I was like, oh.
But isn't
I don't know
it?
what she's asking me, but I think I know what she
don't.
is, so I'll just answer.
Yeah, well, we're talking about energy alignment. Now, I like to talk about this from two perspectives, from the physical energy, but also metaphysical energy. Now, we've just pulled out angel cards. I got rainbow, you got opportunity. I was trying to explain to my mum yesterday about the fifth dimension. She was like, what? But then if you actually hear a lot of my mum's conversations are about the fifth dimension. So I don't understand why she didn't understand me. But again, everything is energy. So how can I explain it? It's like, in the legal world, you talk about the balance, the balance of scales. So even in the metaphysical world, things have to be in balance. I talk about divine order. Yeah. So as above, so below. So even though, let's just say the angelic, what do I call them sometimes? Oh gosh, it slipped me. But the angelic authority, administration, that's what I call them sometimes. The angelic administration, they don't necessarily have like pens and legal documents. Okay.
No, exactly.
It doesn't mean that they're not looking for us to have divine order, balance, everything to be, just and fair in our life. So I think it's very interesting. We had a little bit of
correct.
Yes, we had a little bit of a glip. Anybody listening in now, we're talking about energy alignment and with Nicole Papantoniou, who's a legal consultant, but I can definitely talk about metaphysical things with her. So this is part of our connection as well, that we like to talk about these divine things as well, which is brilliant because, Nicole, whether we're talking about our 3D world where, it's all about business, thinking about the legal aspects, or again, we're more tapping into our higher self, into our spiritual life. For me, our direction and the decisions that
Mm,
we make are going to have an impact on us. So now we're
of
talking
course.
about the D in that framework. So again, let's bring it back to business. When we're thinking about the legal aspects, Nicole has already given us top 3 tips on the fundamentals to get right in your business. Then we've spoken about how you can be working with a legal consultant. Try and make it a regular
Mm,
appointment as you would check in with your accountant. So when it comes to the direction and the decisions,
mm,
I mean, I don't know if
mm,
maybe you might want to maybe give us an example, but what kind of things could a a
mm.
legal consultant kind of advise us on, which actually, by taking on that guidance, is setting us on the right path so we
Yeah.
make
Mm,
decisions moving
mm.
forward?
I'll use, I mean, an example I've spoken about throughout is making sure you have everything in place, because that can lead to XYZ decision being made. If you have legal instruments in place that will protect you, that will outline the consequences, your terms and conditions, you pretty much have your blueprint, set up. But the other thing is, and again, quite often it happens, the decision you will, for example, and I'll use a real case study because this is something that I deal with 70% of the time. You have a dispute arising, and I'll make it relevant, let's say, to payment terms, okay? Or the service agreement, something under the service agreement, let's say a customer was not happy with the product they received, so, they want their money back or something like that. They go through the legal route, litigation route, to be more specific, and they want to issue court proceedings, or vice versa. You want to issue court proceedings because you have, let's say, an employee in your business that, is doing X, Y, Z, or someone that has not paid your invoice to collect that money. The decision, and again, this is very important, is sometimes people have in mind that the fastest and the easiest way to collect that money or to obtain something that I need is going through the legal route. My advice and my general overall opinion on that, despite being fully involved in litigation and dealing with it, is you really have to think twice. So you really have to you have to be very realistic and honest with your client, because in this profession you'll see a lot of people try to push clients and try to push people and businesses towards the litigation route, because obviously they will get a good payout, let's say. But you have to be realistic with your client. If you have an unpaid invoice, let's say of £2,000 or £5,000, if you want to go down the legal route to collect that money, you're going to spend double that amount. So at the end of the day, you will be left with nothing, basically. And it's the same thing again. If you have, let's say, had clients that have had invoices of very high value, so above the 500K range, yes, litigation is a possible option. However, what do you do once you get a successful result? Because it's one thing getting a successful result going in your favor, and another thing how to collect the money that you're owed. Again, all these are options, and options that need to be discussed with the clients prior than pushing everyone to go down the litigation route. You have to be very realistic and very honest with your clients. And you know what, if you go down the legal route, this is what will happen. You're probably not going to get, an expedited outcome. If you have something very high value, will you be able to obtain it afterwards from the debtor? Will you be like, what will be the actual plan? And again, low income, low value invoices, is it worth going to court over a £2,000 invoice? Probably not, because you're going to spend that money in, for your lawyer in less than, I'll say a month, less than a month. So it's all about presenting possible outcomes to the client, informing them of all the outcomes, what the consequences, what the outcome can be, and then allowing them to make the correct, informed decision.
I'm also thinking about other aspects. So for myself, I definitely got to go down the intellectual property route. I've
Mm,
definitely got to get a trademark set up.
mm.
And also thinking about my family. Have you got a little dog?
Yes, can you hear her barking?
Oh, yeah, I can. It's
So
all
you're
right.
welcome.
It's a family show. Don't worry about it.
It is
I didn't,
indeed.
I didn't know you had a dog.
I do. I do.
Oh, actually, I
I
did. Didn't
do.
you bring your dog last year to the event? Or no, you wanted to bring your
No,
dog.
I wanted to.
You
Yes, I
wanted
wanted
to.
to.
Oh, yes, I did know that
Yes.
you had a little dog. Sorry, we're going off
Yeah.
topic, but our dogs, you see our animals and children. Anyway,
Yes, you're
I'm
filled.
thinking, yeah, I'm thinking of um my next generation, then my grandchildren, my children. There's things that need to be set up
Mm,
properly. So, again, the decision making process, you might not have all the answers straight away when you are
yeah.
setting out your business, but as life changes, I mean, my granddaughter, you didn't meet her last year, but you will meet her this year. She's 10 years old, she's home educated,
Mm.
but she's learning about the stock market. Okay, she's such a bright girl. She sat
Wow.
with me, yeah. She sat with me when I she sat with me when I'm developing this other part of my business. I'm
Mm,
explaining everything to her. We're trying to work it out, to see how she can start sitting in on some of these high level conversations. But at 10 years
mm.
old, not that she's
Wow.
going to be in the conversation, but I want her to be absorbing this information
Mm,
because,
mm.
you know, with the best will in the world, I want this to be success. And one day she'll be benefiting from this. I need
Yeah,
to think about that now. I don't want to wait until she's like
me too.
grown up and she's lost interest. I want to get her involved now. So
Mm, mm.
definitely things, to speak to a legal consultant like yourself and think about how can this be managed. Remember, at the event, we'll talk about the event properly in a minute, but there is going to be the panel. You're sitting on the panel this year, Nicole. They're going to be talking about exit strategies, not so much mergers, but definitely exit strategies for
Mm,
those who are wanting to come out of the business early, maybe pass it down to, it might not be direct children, it might be somebody else in the family. I do
mm.
know of several business owners who actually they'd set up their business and over many years their children were not actually interested in the
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
So there's
correct.
things that you have to think about. There might be another relative, actually.
Mm,
It might be a niece, it might be a nephew, it might be a cousin
mm.
who is
Exactly.
interested in taking over that business. What does that look like in legal terms? So all of these decisions, what we're trying
Mm,
to impress upon people here is think about them as early as you possibly can. It will inform your next step. It will inform, for me, I would say, your motivation and your drive. I don't know if you wanted to come back on that at all.
it's true, and it's what I spoke about last year. In one aspect of my keynote speech is the succession of the business. You have to have those conversations early because it will impact you. If, for example, let's say you're building a business and you have clear in your mind that your son or your daughter is going to take over, and then when you're at, let's say you haven't had that discussion with them and you're at the process of wanting to bring them on board because you want to you know stop being involved in the business as much, and then you get hit with the, oh, actually, I don't really want to be involved in this is not my area at all. Then your whole strategy, again, coming back to that, will be the grounds. It's not going to be the full grounds, but a part of your structure will be shaky. So then you have to rethink the whole thing, the whole succession again. But if you have that from early in mind or in place and have those conversations early, you can also minimize the risk or any, let's say, any surprises you might get along the way. Again, I'm not saying that because you have your succession planned out from day one, that it will go the same way you want it to go, but you will minimize the risk and the issues you will be dealing with later, which can cause, of course, stress, or it can impact the business and so on. So it's the thing I said last year: just have those conversations early, so at least you know where you stand, you know where all your partners, business partners, family members stand. So at least you have a clear picture for the time being in your head.
Yes, definitely. Particularly as well if you are going into business with a business partner as well. I
Yeah,
know it sounds
exactly.
sad, but you
Exactly.
have, and I've been hanging around with businessmen who've said that this has happened to them.
Yes,
Where
yes.
if you're in business with a business partner, I know it sounds very sad, but you have to think about the possibility of that business partner passing away and how that will legally affect the running of the business, because the
Mm,
shares, I don't know, Nicole will correct me here, but the shares, particularly if they are married, would automatically go to their spouse, their legal partner,
yeah,
married. Nicole, correct me on that, 'cause I'm not legal, but you know what I'm trying to say. Please
I
think
know, I
about
know.
it. So let's talk about systems and operations. This is the final S. Because
Mm,
everything that we've been speaking about here, we go right back to the beginning. The three fundamental things. So if you're just tuning in, Nicole said three fundamental things to get your foundations right with your business in legal terms, service agreements, terms and conditions, and looking at your GDPR. Now, I think we're going to talk about GDPR in this section when we're thinking about systems and operations. I mean, GDPR, systems and operations, that's automatically in your customer relationship management system, isn't it? Not that we should be tying it in like this. I can see people put tick boxes on things, like if you're
yeah,
signing
yeah, yeah,
somebody's
yeah,
email
exactly,
list,
exactly. Yeah,
then they'll put tick this box because blah blah blah. But GDPR, is this something that, like, how do you think we're doing then on as small business owners?
I just think have a policy, a GDPR policy, set up. It's the easiest thing. So you inform people of the data you collect, the data you store, if you do collect the data, if you store data, because everything again is so in today's world GDPR orientated. Everything is online. Everything you do everything through a computer, through devices, through third parties, through everything. Data gets collected. So it's important again just to make people aware that what this is the data we use, how we collect the data, your rights to the data, retention, all that kind of stuff. It's important to have in place, and it's pretty standard. It's not something you have to go and tailor extremely specifically. It's just something standard. It won't take that much time to put together. It's nothing too crazy. Then you need to sit down for months and write it and do it and consider XYZ. It's something that can be done in limited time, and you just need to have in place so you're covered and make people aware. As I said, it's GDPR is very, very simple in that sense, and just having, for example, an agreement, not an agreement, a policy in place, but also, of course, abiding by that policy. But it's very simple. We're not talking about something extremely detailed, something that's going to take a lot of time, something that is, impossible to draft or to do or to put together. It's something standard, and it has become something standard for all businesses now.
Okay, brilliant. Sorry about that. The Zenta made another appearance, so I had to go
I
off.
figured. I figured. We had a special
Brilliant.
guest.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else that you wanted to speak about? Because we're talking about systems and operations, so maybe there's something you don't feel that we've covered today in this
I
chat.
think we have, and it's again systems and operations for me is having everything in place. That's it. When
So
you
having a
have your
legal health check would be a good
legal
place to
health check,
start.
just exactly, just making sure you have
Mm,
everything you need legally to make your business run efficiently and to minimize risk.
mm.
That's it. The legal aspect of it goes hand in hand. It's part of your systems and operations. It is.
I can hear Venter coming up again. I think we might be okay. Right. So before I have to dash off because of little man, let's just talk about the event. So, Nicole, I've got the great pleasure of having you coming back to Nottingham on Saturday, the 23rd of May. We're in that countdown zone now, Nicole.
I
It's less
know,
than
I
a
know.
month. Less than a
I
month
know.
away.
Time went by so fast, honestly.
Yes, exactly. So we'll be going back to the same venue, Eastwood Hall, which, as you know, is a fabulous venue.
So nice.
So yeah, I know exactly. So we've got Nicole traveling over. The furthest contributor who's traveling is traveling from Cornwall. Exactly.
Wow.
So I don't want to
Wow.
hear anybody giving any excuses that they cannot get to Nottingham when a wonderful woman is traveling all the way from Cornwall to be with us. So if you are interested in this event, it's a one-day action-packed event. We have a great lineup of speakers. Nicole was on the main stage last year. This year, she's doing a masterclass because I feel when you're doing the main stage talk, it's great. But the masterclass, that's where we're rolling our sleeves up and we're getting to
Yeah,
work. So
exactly. Exactly.
exactly. Nicole's shared some great information with us today, but in that room, in her session, which we are framing as a legal wisdom session, you can bring your actual issues. She's spoken
Mm,
about this. If you've already got a legal instrument that you're thinking, is this doing the job? Is there something that's missing? Use it as a workable session. So Nicole will be doing a masterclass that will be 60 minutes, but she'll also be on the panel in the afternoon. Now, in the afternoon, that panel will be looking at franchising, exit strategies, thinking about what Nicole said, the succession planning side of having your business
mm,
set up and then what you're going to do with it. Come along. Come prepared with your questions. You're going to have Nicole. You've got, I think, 3 other fantastic speakers there. It's actually going to be facilitated by an accountant who's got a lot of expertise in terms of working with businesses at different levels.
mm,
He's a tax specialist, so he works with businesses at different levels. So this is a great opportunity. Even if you feel like you're at the beginning of your journey, preparation is the key to success when we're in business. Come and learn from people who are a bit further ahead of you.
mm.
Nicole, is there anything that you wanted to share with us ahead of the 23rd of May?
Nothing further.
Oh, brilliant. Because again, I feel like with this type of workshop, you will be, I won't be able to sit in that workshop, Nicole, because I'm like darting
I know,
everywhere.
I know, I know.
Yeah, I'll be looking in for my legal consultation with you because I feel like when you are growing your enterprise, as Nicole said to us, there will be things that are on your mind. Don't think that a question is too small. Just ask the question. Do you know what I mean, Nicole? Ask the question. And then if you're thinking, actually, I've answered that question, but we need
Exactly.
to kind of go deeper on that, then Nicole will
Mm,
let you know. Now, Nicole, as well as doing the masterclass, you will also be coming back to give us some insight in the growth gathering as well. That's a monthly gathering that I host. So I need to schedule because you'll be having 2 sessions with us online. I'll
yeah.
schedule that with you. For anyone listening in, that is a monthly session that I hold. You can come along as a taster. So the next one is Monday, the 11th of May, between the hours of 10 and 1 p.m. And then I have an expert contributor, such as Nicole, who comes in at the end. I think on your session, Nicole, we could actually go into your legal health check. I think the people
Mm.
on that group would
Yeah.
really find that valuable. Because like you
Okay.
said, even if, we're
Mm.
talking about emotional well-being, peace of mind,
Mhm.
doing a
Mhm.
legal health check and you're saying yes, yes, oh no, yes, no, then
Yeah.
at least it will be able to focus the mind.
Exactly.
And then when you have the conversation with Nicole
Yeah.
or you wanted to speak to someone else, you could actually go into that
Mm.
conversation more prepared. So I'll leave the link to both things, both of those events. So the first one is Monday, the 11th of May. That's a growth gathering. It won't be Nicole on that particular session. We'll have Andrew, who's the tax advisor on that session, but Nicole will be with us later on in the year, but she'll also be live in Nottingham on Saturday, the 23rd of May, and I will leave the link for that underneath. Nicole, I've loved our conversation. We always have
Me
wonderful
too.
chats.
Always. I know. That's what I was
We're
going to
gonna have
say.
another
We
one,
always do.
definitely on our metaphysical. Let's get
I
the
know. I know.
let's
We
get the
do.
event. I know it's overdue. Let's get the event out of the way. Obviously, I do need to sit
Exactly.
down with you. And did you have a look at the platform? Did you have a look
I
at the
did.
platform? Oh,
Briefly, yes.
yeah, she
Not
knows what I'm going.
briefly. I did, and I think I gave my feedback, but
Brilliant. So
looks
Nicole's
excellent.
thank you. Nicole's looking at a new innovative platform that myself and my team are just quietly rolling out. But you've heard it here first. It is a way for you to find wellbeing practitioners quickly, and wellbeing practitioners who've actually been, like
Mm,
say, gone through some peer review. They've got eventually, not at the moment, but eventually, people will be giving their own reviews through the site on the services that they're receiving from wellbeing practitioners. So again, but I've got such big plans with that, Nicole, that I have to definitely make sure from a legal perspective, everything
yeah,
is
of
correct with
course.
that. But
Of
yes, thank you
course.
so much, Nicole, for
Thank
being here
you.
today. It was
Thank you
wonderful
for
to chat
having
with you
me.
again. Not a
You
problem.
too.
And I can't wait to see you in Nottingham on the 23rd of
Same.
May.
Same.
And for those of you that have watched the live, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, please leave a comment so that we know that you were here. Nicole is active on LinkedIn. So if you tag her name, you can actually ask her a question or do connect with her
Mhm.
as well. She's a wonderful young woman, as you can see here today. So
Thank
it would be
you.
good for her to let her know that you have watched this conversation. So for now, we're going to sign off. So we wish you all the best with whatever you're doing for the rest of your day. I will be tomorrow speaking with Andrew. So I've mentioned Andrew's name twice
Mm.
now. If you tune in tomorrow, he is is it a management tax consultant? I can't remember which way it is. But anyway, he's an accountant and he's also a business consultant. He's a wonderful man. So I'll be doing another live chat with him tomorrow. And Nicole, you might have met Andrew last year because he was in the room last year.
I did, yeah, I did.
Yes,
I
yeah,
did.
because he was
Yeah,
exhibiting.
he's
So
very, very
you'll,
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a brilliant guy. So you'll have a chance to meet him again this year. But anyway, that's it
perfect.
from us. Have a wonderful day and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.